So Paul also says that love is the fulfillment of the law. So acts of love, expressions of love should be what we're about. So now we talk about finding Jesus. So then in the parable, Jesus said he was letting them in because he was hungry and they fed him. Jesus said that if they showed love to the least of these, that they showed love to him. So we should be showing love to Jesus. The parable implied that the supreme Christ resides in the body of the outcast. Jesus challenges us to see Jesus in each and every person that's in need.
So if we see an alcoholic that needs money and he's kind of down and out, we see Jesus in him. That, you know, it's not that obvious, but it is possible. That's a question.
Well, yeah, but I think you may not be able to sit right up and tell us you engage that person.
I think it's possible. I think it's kind of speaking to a level of compassion that you grow to. So at one point, one person would just, all they can see is just as a good for nothing, useless person, but another person would have a love for them.
I always see them as a creature of God, and that God felt enough to create them, and that they are, and he built them in the womb, and they matter, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I always saw.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the dirty dirt or the whatever, bad behavior, whatever. God created them, and they're worthy of something.
Yeah. Amen.
Can I read one that's not on yours?
Yes.
It's from John 14, verse 21. And he says, "Whoever has my commands and keeps them is the one who loves me." And his commands was that love. And if you're doing his commands, you love him also.
Love him.
So it all titles down into that love.
Love him,
And then he says, "The one who loves me will be loved by my Father." So that's the one he sent down. And then he says, "And I too will love them and show myself to them." So it just goes hand in hand.
So he'll show himself to you. So then, that help you see him. So there's a story of Martin of Turin, who was a soldier. He was a soldier, and he came home from war, and he was going through the gates of the city, and he saw a beggar on the side of the road, and he wanted some money, but he didn't have any money. All he had was his beat up clothes, and so he cut his jacket, his army jacket, in half, and he gave the beggar half the jacket. You know, he was cold as well, but he gave the beggar half a jacket. But they said at night he had a dream of Jesus in heaven with all his angels around him, and he said Jesus was wearing half of an army jacket.
Wow.
So he saw Jesus. And there's another story of a Francis of Assisi. Said he was a wealthy man who was, before his conversion, he was careless and he was a mean man. But then one day he was driving and he saw a leper, and somehow he got compelled to jump out of the car, and he hugged the man. And when he hugged him, he said his face turned into the face of Jesus. And then there's another story that got added last Sunday. I was at church, talking. We kind of gathering the pillows, talking to somebody, and somebody told me, "Oh, I'm going to be going to Costco." They told me all the stuff they were doing, and they were going to be taking Uber. So later, I'd been at church for a while, and I was driving home, and I saw them walking. So I said, "Okay, let me gonna stop, and I'm gonna ask them if they need a ride." And I stopped, but it took them like a long time to go up to me. And so they finally came, and I was like, "Hey, you need a ride?" They said, "Oh yeah, I was just about to call Uber, but yeah, I'll take a ride." She said, but she was like, well, maybe, well, yeah, I'll take a ride. I said, "Okay, you should." She said, "Yeah, I'll take a ride." She said, "But can you wait 2 minutes?" I'm like, "Yeah." So she starts walking towards the parking lot, like the Costco area. Then she starts running, and she runs into McDonald's. I said, "Okay, maybe she was trying to get some food before she went on." So I drove over there, and she came out. She said, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's taking so long." She had a little bitty cup. She said, "It's taking longer than I thought." And I said, "Oh, so you're getting, what are you getting to eat?" She said, "Oh, I'm not getting anything to eat." I'm like, "What?" She said, she's like, well, there was this lady on the corner, and she asked me for some money, And I didn't have any money, so I told her I would buy her something. So all I had was a credit card. So I came here to, so she got a Happy Meal, and she went and gave it to them.
That's
You know,
cool.
so I was like, oh, wow.
Caught her in the middle of a good deed.
Yeah. I was like, hey, I'm talking about you on
Had
Tuesday.
Pastor Herman did a really wonderful sermon on that, about, I can't remember the first words, but it's about inconvenience. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Being
Yeah,
inconvenienced.
I remember that.
Taking time out.
So the point is,
Life's inconvenience.
Life's inconveniences. The
Life's
point being that that your Christianity is acted out not in what you're doing, the planned things you're doing. Like, I plan to go to church, I plan to do this. You act your Christianity out in the times when you're inconvenienced, the stuff that wasn't planned.
Right.
That when people are inconvenienced you, how you react to the inconvenience,
your
respond
yeah.
is your real Christianity, was his
That's
point.
it.
Yeah. Francis Chan had a quote. He said, "I may not save the world, but I have to die trying." So in conclusion, so this is not a parable about recognizing sheep and goats. This is a parable about recognizing Jesus. So the paradox of the parable is that the ones who were living correctly, the ones who were righteous, they didn't have to recognize Jesus because they were living righteous, so it didn't matter if they knew it was Jesus or not. No, in the parable, you couldn't get in the kingdom unless you did the right thing. But you couldn't do the right thing by trying to do the right thing. You could only do the right thing by becoming the right type of person. So it's easy for us to continue going down the same path we're going, but it takes effort to change our path and the way we live. The more we do, the more loving acts we show, the more unconscious it becomes, until one day you'll find yourself in front of God and He's honoring you and praising you for stuff that you don't even remember doing. So God has given us the invitation to become the person He's imagined us to be. So our prayer every night should be, God, let me slowly and unconsciously become the person that you imagined me to be.
Perfect.